last time I had Glenlivet 18-year-old single malt Scotch was at a wedding, and it was a family wedding, and went to the bar. Things were kind of quiet at the reception. I was bored, and I was really impressed that they had 18-year-old single malt Glenlivet. Never had it before, and I greatly enjoyed it. That was a few years ago, and then after that I'd have it once in a while in the bar, and I liked it, but I'd never really bought a bottle till now. Comes in a sturdy box. Fairly handsome bottle. Glenlivet is the best-selling single malt Scotch in the United States as a brand, and the second best-selling single malt Scotch in the world. I think the first is probably Glenfiddich. This whiskey is composed of only single malts and no whiskeys less than 18 years of age, and based on my tasting, certainly a few whiskeys older than 18 years. The distillery's been around forever. I think it was founded in 1824, and it's been in continuous operation since. I think it closed not during the Great Depression. A lot of distilleries closed during the Great Depression. For obvious reasons, but this closed during World War II. It closed briefly, probably due to the bombing of the war. So we're going to try it tonight. Love that sound. Cork stopper. Alcohol by volume is 43%. I think they do use some artificial coloring, whatever. We only care about the taste. On the nose, it's floral. It's definitely, you smell some sherry. It's aromatic. It's not peated. You're not going to get a lot of smoke out of this whiskey. The region this whiskey comes from is Speyside. It's a classic Speysider. This would fall into the category of a sherried whiskey. Not to give anything away, but I'm going to in a way. And I should mention the bottle is 750 milliliter, standard size. So oranges, not apple blossom, but more like an orange blossom. Cherry blossoms. The nose is nice. No smoke. Pleasant, concentrated, floral. On the palate. The color, I'll give you a little word about the color. Pale straw. Excuse me. On the palate, you're greeted by definitely some spiced orange rind. A lot of orange going on here. A lot of sherry. The wood management of this, the casks used to produce this single malt are European oak, which would be ex-sherry casks, and American oak, which would be ex-bourbon casks. The European oak, according to Glenlivet on their website, and generally it's been most whiskey critics' experience, the European oak can contribute some spiciness. And traditionally, bourbon casks from the U.S. contribute tropical fruit notes, like pear, melon. So we're getting a lot of orange in the beginning. Honey. There's a herbaceous note. There is caraway seed, mineral note. And then there's the sherry, and then there's the oak. On the finish, the finish is going to be dominated by pretty big oak. Oak to the point that it gets a little bit bitter. And even almost, I wouldn't say astringent, but there's a bit of a bitterness to this single malt. And there is a cure. And the cure is water. Not the whole glass of water. Take your little teaspoon, maybe a little bit more than that. I find a little bit of water is a must for the Glenlivet 18. It will take away that bitterness, replace it with some creamy notes, and a bit more milk chocolate. It's amazing what a little bit of water does. Makes it just takes that bitterness, that grapefruit pith note away, which is a bit annoying, and replaces it with more of a creamy softness that's needed. In general, the price for this was very reasonable for an 18-year-old single malt. It holds up well. It's not the best 18-year-old single malt, but given the price, it's fair value. It's a solid entry into that category. If you like sherried whiskey, or you don't know much about sherried whiskey, or you're a novice, Glenlivet 18, you couldn't do worse. You could do a lot worse. This is a good place to start. Everybody should give this a try. And it does have complexity. A few years ago when I was drinking it, I liked it a lot more than I do now. Maybe my palate and my tastes have evolved over time. It's still a good, solid effort in this category. And for the price, I am satisfied. It seems years ago I didn't notice that bitterness that I'm tasting today. But I've had the bottle for a couple of days and I'm working my way down. So I did notice that when I first opened the bottle, it really needed air. It needed to breathe. This is a whiskey that benefits from that bottle, opening and getting the air in there, and certainly a bit of water, as I told you before. Glenlivet 18, highly recommended. Is a good novice whiskey, and if you want to explore sherried whiskeys of Speyside, good choice. If you're an Isla fan or a big peat and smoke guy or gal, this would not be a place to go. There's very little smoke in this whiskey at all. Thank you for tuning in. Cheers.